Part 4. The regulation of dangerous goods when conveyed or transported on public roads. Let's take a look at what this section covers. What are the steps required to identify and classify loads correctly? The first question we need to ask ourselves before loading any dangerous goods is: are the goods dangerous goods or not? Please make 100% sure. Step 1. Determining if goods are dangerous. Do the goods have a UN number, a proper shipping name, a hazard class, a subsidiary risk class, a packing group? This will help determine whether the goods are dangerous or not. UN information can normally be found on labels on packages. Material Safety Data Sheets, Section 14. Previous transport documentation or delivery notes. Online searches or by contacting suppliers or manufacturers. Example. Here we have a package and we want to know whether this is a dangerous goods package or not. Here's what we can determine. UN number. Clearly visible on the label. Hazard class. Class 3, flammable liquid. Diamond label. Indicates the primary hazard. Subsidiary or secondary class. Packing group. Packing group 3, meaning it's a minor danger. Proper shipping name. Methyl chloride. Orientation marks. Arrows indicating the package must always remain upright during transportation. We now know that this is a dangerous goods package. Important note. When loading this dangerous goods package onto a vehicle, ensure it is oriented as per the markings. Step 2. Measuring the quantity of dangerous goods, single loads. When only one UN number is identified, we proceed by establishing the quantity of dangerous goods to be loaded. Please remember, liquids are always measured in liters. Solids are always measured in kilograms. Please note, the measurement is based on the container's full volume and not the actual quantity of contents. This is because liquids can evaporate, emitting fumes, vapor, or gases, which add to the hazard. The empty space in the container is called ullage. Example of ullage. A drum with a capacity of 210 liters might only contain 200 liters of product. However, we always count the full 210 liters for safety and regulatory purposes. Even seemingly empty containers are treated as notionally empty, as they still pose risks. This is because of the residual chemicals on the walls or bottom may cause explosions. A lack of liquid can lead to overheating and rupture under fire conditions. Always treat empty chemical containers with the same caution as is usually afforded to full containers. Remember, notionally empty containers in many instances are more likely to explode in a fire situation, since they do not have the liquid within to absorb heat away from the surface of the container. Step 3. Determining exempt quantities. For single loads, refer to Table C1, the exempt quantity list in SANS, to determine if the quantity exceeds the exempt limit. Example. Sulfuric acid, packing group 2, has an exempt quantity of 50 liters. If the load contains 20 liters, it is below the exempt quantity and considered a normal goods load, which means it is not regulated. But, if it exceeds 50 liters, it becomes a regulated dangerous goods load. If we take alcohol for example, alcohol is classified as a flammable liquid, class 3, but we don't need permits for small quantities, because it also has an exempt quantity. Large amounts exceeding the exempt quantity will require compliance with dangerous goods regulations. Splitting loads. If we use multiple containers, example 25 liters plus 25 liters plus 25 liters, on the same vehicle, and the total load exceeds the exempt quantity, they are treated as a regulated dangerous goods load. Remember, just because each container is below the exempt quantity, it does not mean the total load is below the exempt quantity. If each one of these containers were separate vehicles, then it would not be considered a regulated dangerous goods load, but because they are on one vehicle, it means the total quantity is above the exempt quantity, meaning that this will be a regulated dangerous goods load. We take the quantity of the entire load on the vehicle. Step 3. Managing mixed loads. For mixed loads, we will look at the compatibility chart to determine whether different classes can be transported together, or if they require separation. We will compare primary and subsidiary risks on the chart. Let's look at our compatibility chart. It says here, a white block means the goods are compatible, but requires a 100 mm separation. A black block means the goods are not compatible, and they must be transported separately. A block marked A means the goods are compatible, but requires a 1 meter separation. Let's do a few examples. Let's say we have class 2.3 toxic gas and class 3 flammable liquid. We start by finding class 2.3 and go down until we get to class 3. We can see that this is a black block. What does this mean? It means the goods cannot be on the same vehicle. Let's say we have class 4.1 flammable solids and class 4.3 dangerous when wet. We can see that this is a white block. What does this mean? It means the goods can be on the same vehicle with a 100 mm separation. Let's say we have class 5.1 oxidizing substances and class 3 flammable liquids. We can see that this is an A block. What does this mean? It means the goods can be on the same vehicle, but they must be separated by 1 meter. Finally, when you have a mixed load, you use a formula to calculate if the combined dangerous goods exceed the threshold for regulated loads. The formula is total quantity equals quantity times the factor. Each substance has a factor associated with it. Example, matches may have a factor of 2, sodium hydroxide a factor of 20, and diesel a factor of 1. We will multiply the quantity by the factor and add up all the results. If the total exceeds 1000, the load is classified as a regulated mixed load and must comply with the relevant dangerous goods transportation regulations. Let's look at the example given. 150 units of matches with a factor of 2. This means we take 150 and multiply it by 2. We then get 300. 15 units of sodium hydroxide with a factor of 20. This means we take 15 and multiply it by 20. We then get 450. We were also given 450 units of diesel with a factor of 1, which means we will multiply 450 by 1. We then get 450. Now, if we add all these numbers together, 300 plus 300 plus 450, we get 1050, which means the load exceeds the 1000 threshold, and is therefore a regulated mixed load. So remember, when transporting dangerous goods, it's essential to follow these steps to ensure proper classification and regulation. Let's remember what we have learned. Confirm if the goods are dangerous. Measure the quantity of goods. Check if the quantity is below the exempt threshold. Verify compatibility for mixed loads. Calculate total quantities and apply appropriate regulations. Inspectors for the Department of Transport have specific powers and duties. They can demand any prescribed documents from drivers, operators, or consignors. They can request information on substances being transported and demand explanations of the documents provided. Inspectors are also allowed to weigh, count, or measure goods. They can mark or seal packages or vehicles, examine and copy load documents, inspect any dangerous goods operation, and demand information about the operation. Additionally, they are permitted to seize any substances or items that may be used as evidence or proof. Now, here's what they are not allowed to do. Inspectors and traffic officers may not open dangerous goods packages. They are not allowed to unload or decant any dangerous goods unless the operator is duly notified, they have been authorized by the local authority, or a qualified person supervises the process.